Okay, let's set up. Oh, I need to turn off my copyrighted music. Whoops.
I wonder.
You gonna report me?
I'm gonna report you for being a hooligan.
Oh no! Multi free music. Music.
Come up here. Oh my god, you have 4 subscribers!
Yay! Oh, that's loud. Turn that down. I just want to be quiet music.
You are coding.
Yeah, said I was.
On.
You think?
It's my dog's being a butthead about it, and I'm gonna.
Oh.
Ah!
Do you think I was joking about coding?
I need him up on my bench because I like my dog, and he's like a butthead towards it. So, stay up here.
Alright, well, I'm watching
have
a
to.
video.
First time.
Let's
Let's do a while
teach
wait
coding of
in
Roblox
there,
setting.
so it just updates every
So you're gonna hear that too.
3 seconds.
Done.
And again, you
Done,
don't need to know
done.
about while loops yet because we'll go over them in a future
Banana
video.
fucking.
If I change it to 15, it turns off. If I change it to 12, still doesn't work. If I change it to 11, 59, 59, it means my var is equal to 20. My var is 20, so it's greater than 10, so the light should turn on. There we go. But if I was to set my var to 2, which is less than 10, it wouldn't work. So you can have loads of different conditions. You could have my var set to hello, and then you could say if my var is equal to hello, then it will run the turning on of the light because it's true. But if you said if it's by, well, we've set it to say hello, check. But when you make a game, there are loads of things that you need to check, meaning loads of uses, and it's a thing that you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is episode number 12.
Doggo got shaved down because he had too much hair, so now he's gotta go back to normal.
No. Had a great new year. I'm gonna try and.
What's the point of going down there? He's just gonna ask me for food.
So apologies for the recent delay in videos. However, it should be back on track now. So, in today's video, we are looking at embedded if statements and also else if. So, I'm just going to kick it off and tell you guys about embedded if statements. So, we have an if statement here, and what this if statement does is it checks to see if a number is odd or even. So, what we're using is the modulus function here, and what modulus does is it divides these two numbers together and
JoJo's
Bizarre
Adventure.
Remainder. So the selected condition that I have that's in blue right now is what it's going to return is the remainder of this division.
He's in a car.
So we've got my number set to 5. So if we were to do 5,
I think the car is pretty gay.
Obviously that's 2.5.
Wow.
So that would be 2 remainder 1 because 2 times 2 is 4 and there's 1 left over. So because 2.5 is a decimal,
Michael Jackson, what the hell?
1 here, so it would be 2 remainder 1. So in this case, 5 would not be even. It would be 1 5 and together function here, or if statement does. So what we're using is the modulus function here, and what modulus does is it divides these two numbers together and then
Come
it
up
returns
here
the
now.
remainder.
Come up
So the
here.
selected condition that I have that's in blue right now is what it's going to return is the remainder of this division. So we've got my number set to 5. So if we were to do 5 divided by 2, obviously that's 2.5. So that would be 2 remainder 1 because 2 times 2 is 4 and there's 1 left over. So because 2.5 is a decimal, then there would be a remainder of 1 here, so it would be 2 remainder 1. So in this case, 5 would not be even, it would be odd. So modulus is a great way to just check if a number is even or odd, or a multiple of another number, because it will return a remainder, and if the remainder is 0, then you'll know that it's gone into the number cleanly and there's no remainder. But if there is a remainder, then it's not going to be equal to 0. So if you don't understand it too much, don't worry yet, but basically what this condition does is it decides whether the number is even or not, because if the remainder is 0, we know it's even, and if it's not, then we know it's odd. So just to show you, if I was to run this script, check the output, it says that it's odd. If I was to put an even number in here, such as 6, and I ran the code again, it would say that it's even. So there we go, we have a quick condition here to check to see if a number is even or odd. So an embedded if statement is an if statement inside of another if statement. So if we were to put another if statement in here, we can just do something else, say if my number plus 1, okay? If I was to say if my number plus 1 is even, then print, we can just print my number
Salami!
No.
plus 1 is even. So what's happening here is if my number here, so 6, is an even number, then we print that it's even, and then we're running another if statement. I'm adding 1 to my number, so imagine it's now 7, and we can check if that's even as well, and if it is, we can do another print. So let's find out. So it's just printed that it is even, so obviously
What am I doing wrong? My number equals 6. If number divided by 2.
this condition must be false, because my number add 1, which is 7, obviously 7 is not an even number. So let's do an else, and let's say else print my number add 1 is odd, and run it again, and it should say that my number add 1 is odd. And let's just replace that my number plus 1 to my number plus 1, like this, and we'll do a 2 string here as well. Okay, don't worry about this 2 string, by the way, that's just making it so that we can print out the number, because you have to make it a string, as a string is what you print out, and you can't go printing out numbers with strings, so you have to convert it to a string.
Is that Nicki
So there we go.
Minaj,
It's
bro?
printed that it's even, and then it's
Oh.
printed.
You sure, bro?
Yep.
You 100%? You 100%?
Yep. Extremely positive.
Out.
I don't know. I think you Nicki Minaj.
Let me ask you this though. When your voice gonna change?
Hmm? I
Your
don't
voice
know.
gonna change.
No idea.
I need your voice to change, my boy.
Why?
Cause
Don't have to.
what are you, a kid? Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Let me answer that. I already know.
You are one too, bro.
Cause I'm better.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-huh.
Nicki Minaj.
It was
Hush
like
before you get rizzed.
shut your mouth before I send you to Proto Man, bro. Stop playing me.
What's that? I'm scared. I'm like 70 kills away from getting a title inside this game, and it took me like so long.
Boy, you just don't always get on to play.
Mm. Well, that's
There's
because
also
most of the
that.
time I grinded offline because Elijah would always invite me to play Apex with him and Zoomboy. 69 more kills until I get the thing.
Ow, my neck.
Hell, you trying to let me kill you 69 more times?
Oh, you don't know why?
Why?
Cause you're not gonna be able to catch me.
My number with 1 added
You
on,
will bet?
which is 7, to say it's off.
Yep.
So you can see we've got an if statement inside of this if statement.
You wanna know what I realized today?
Who?
You wanna know what I realized today, bro?
What?
That you can like make your
If we were to
controller
have an
sensitivity
an
faster
odd
inside
number
of
here,
this.
and we do
like
our
inside of the
first
game.
condition. So our first condition
Like,
checks
you
to
can
see
just go to
if-
like the settings thing, or not like the settings menu of Roblox, but like the settings thing, like the down on D-pad, then settings, and then like on one part you can just click it and like
And you
adjust
can,
your
like-
what's it called, controller
you-
sensitivity like to a certain amount. I'm not playing a server with this monkey.
my number, which is 5, is divisible by 2 with no
And now
remainder.
after
So
I'm
whether
finished with this,
my
I'm gonna
number
cook with Garo,
is
bro.
even or not. So obviously 5 is an odd number, so it's immediately gonna skip to our else statement and print
Bro,
out
who
that
is
it's
this
odd.
dude, bro?
So because it's gone to the
I
else
always get
statement,
third-party inside of
it's
these
not
games.
been
I'm
able
not playing in this server either.
to check our if statement here because it's nested, it's embedded inside of our if statement here, because
You just got
anything that's in
family,
between
bro.
this if and this else will only run if the condition here is true. If it's not true, then it's only going to print what's in the else statement down here. So what we could do
They call
is
me
we could
Mr.
we could do another if statement down here, and that would run if the else statement,
Lucas, do
if the else
this.
runs, and it will run regardless of whether it's true or not, because we've got it up here
I hit him
and
first.
down here as well. So I'm just showing you that you can have an if statement inside of another if statement. That's fine, as long as you have your end to close it off as well. So you can do as many if statements inside of each other as you like. But each time you do an if statement, then just make sure that you're indenting it each time
Thank you.
so that your code
I was gonna do it even if you didn't say anything.
is nice and clear.
It was just a matter of time.
If I said it out loud, he's like, I don't say anything out loud. I just say like in.
No, I know. What I was
It's
getting
so-
at is that even if you didn't tell me to kick him, I probably would have eventually. His voice was annoying me.
I'm not gonna notice you if you don't say anything.
Hmm?
He doesn't notice. He doesn't notice people if you don't say anything towards him.
And easy to read. Okay, So that's all you need to know about embedded if statements. Now we're just going to look at else if. So else if is similar to having an embedded if statement, although it just saves you having to keep indenting and writing out the ends as well, those ends to close off those if statements. So all you need to do, instead of writing else, you can just say else if, like this, and then you just write out your second condition. So if my number, let's just say, so you can see if the first condition is not met, if it's not true, then it will skip to our else if, and it will check our second condition to see if it's a multiple of 3. And if it isn't a multiple of 3, you can keep on doing these else ifs. You can see we're not having to write that end at the end. We can just say, let's just do another one for multiple of 5. You can see we've got, what, 2 more if statements, but we've only got one end, and that's because it's a part of this big if statement. It's the same if statement, it's just that we've got multiple conditions in the case that the first one or the second one or the third one doesn't work. And if they all are false, if they all aren't true, we can say just one normal else, and we can print they all did not run. So we could put another number in here, such as 2 as our number, and it would print out it's even because it's met the first condition. Or we could set it to 5, and it would go to the third condition here. It would go to the third if here in this else if, because it's not a multiple of 2, it's not a multiple of 3, but it's a multiple of 5. So it's going to skip down to our third statement, and it's going to print out it's a multiple of 5. But if it is not a multiple of any of those numbers, it will just skip to our else and say that they all did not run. So else if allows you to have multiple conditions in one if statement in case one of them doesn't work and you want to check something else. But remember that you will only get to check these else ifs if the first condition isn't true. So let's imagine that the number is a multiple of 3. So if it is a multiple of 3, that's great. It's going to run this line here, but then it's not going to run any more else ifs or elses because the if statement has now been met, right? The condition has been met, so it doesn't have to do any more elses, and it will just print, it will just go on to the next line of code. So let's, example, say finished. Down here it will say it's a multiple of 3, yep, and then it will just skip all of these else ifs here, and it will just go to the end of the script, and it will say finished. So if you do want to do your else ifs and you want certain runs to run in order, make sure that you've got them ordered. So you might want to check whether it's a multiple of 5 before it's a multiple of 3, for example, but it doesn't really matter. These will only run if your conditions that you have previously written are false. So there you are, that's what else if is. It allows you to have multiple conditions and checks in one if statement. There we go. Although I guess you could say it's more than one if statement because you've got ifs here, but what I mean is they're only going to run if the first if. Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 13 in my scripting series. It's going to be a very quick video just to finish off the if statements part of the series that we've been doing so far. We're going to be looking at relationship statements. You've also got less than here. You've got greater than or equal to, and you've got less than or equal to. You've got not equal to, so if basically any number that enter or return, and also the equal sign. I'll leave them all in the description though, so you can copy them into your scripts. We've also got by enter or return, and also the equal sign. I'll leave them all in the description though, so you can copy them into your scripts. We've also got we've had the greater than or equal to and the less than or equal to, and the equals as well. That is the main one that you'll use all the time, but they've got loads of use cases. You don't have to do it with numbers either. You could have a string, and you could check to see if, let's just call it my string here, if my string is equal to hey, then it will run the if statement. You can't use the greater than or less than operators on a string though, as it's text. You can only use those on numbers, but you can use the not equal to one there as well. So anything that is not equal to hey will make the if statement run here. Obviously it didn't run in this case because we didn't change our string. If I was to change it to by, it would work. So there we go, just for you to know and note down, there are all your relational operators that you can use. Know and note down, there are all your relational operators that you can use. So hey everyone, welcome back.
I'll be right back. I'm back. Alright.
To another video. This is Alvin Blocks. Before we get the video started, you may notice a change in the audio quality. That's because I've just invested in a brand new microphone, so hopefully everything sounds great. I'm still working on the audio and the little tweaking of the audio quality, so do stick with me on that. But today I am going to be showing you values in Roblox, value objects, and what they're useful for. So let's get straight into the video. So, you've already learned in this series about variables and how we can hold data in a variable in a script. But the problem with variables is that they are script specific, so you can only access a variable if it has been defined or created in the same script. So if I was to have a variable called myvar, and I wanted to print out myvar from another script maybe, let's create a second script, and let's try and print out myvar. If we were to run this code, then the game would say nil, because in this script it has tried to print out myvar, but it doesn't know what it is because it's only checking this script to find that variable. So what I'm saying is you can only access, modify, view or print variables that have been defined in the same script, so you can't access them from another script. They are only a part of the script that they're defined in. So I could print it in this script and that would be fine. But what if I wanted to access a number, or like a variable, some data from a different script? Well, that is where values come in. So a value is an object that we can put into our game. Just like a script is an object, we have value objects. So you can store them anywhere you like. The most common places we store them are in server storage, sometimes in the workspace, sometimes in replicated storage as well. But we're just going to put them in server storage today because we can access them from all of our scripts there, although it doesn't really matter. So let's type in value in this search box here, and you can see loads of different values come up, all these different objects that really matter today because we can access them from all of our scripts there, although it doesn't really matter. So let's type in value in this search box here, and you can see loads of different values come up, all these different objects. They're classed under values, and they all represent different data types. So we have a ball value, brick color value, C-frame value, color 3 value, int value, number value, blah blah blah. So all of these different values are used to hold data, just like we would hold them in a variable, although the difference is, because they're objects, we can reference them from different scripts and grab their values. We can even update their values. So let's insert a ball value. You have different values for different data types or different types of data that you want to store. So if we had a ball value, then the object would have a property. All of these value objects, this can get a bit confusing. By default, they are called value, but the objects themselves have a property which is called value, and what we can do is we can set that value to the data that we want. So just like you'd set a variable, you'd give some data to a variable and you'd hold that data in the variable. The data that's held in this value is under the value property. So in this case it's a ball value because that's the class name, so let's just call this ball value for now so we know which is which. So our ball value, it currently holds false. That is the data held, that is a false value. So when the box is unchecked, that means it is false. When we click it and check it, that means that the value is true. So what we can do is, if we just delete this script here, we can firstly get our value, and we can say game.serverStorage.ball value. Okay, now if we wanted to print out or access the current value of this ball value, we can just say .value, because value is the property name, and that is going to give us the current value, which is currently false. But if we were to print that out, it would give us false. Okay, and if we were to make the value property true, it should now print out true. And there we go, it does indeed. So what that means is if we were to create a second script, we could access the bool value script. We could access the bool value still. Let's just call it script 2. And in fact, let's add a weight 5 in here. Okay, we'll do a print. This is gonna be, it's gonna look confusing for a second, but I'm gonna explain what we're gonna do. So in script 2, we are firstly printing out the value, then we're gonna wait 5 seconds and print it again. Then in our second script over here, or our first script, we can set the value to something different. So let's do a wait 3 here, and then after 3 seconds, let's just get rid of this print here. And to actually set a value, to change the value, we have to firstly get the value property, and then we can say equals, and then we can set it to our data. Now because this is a bool value, it will only take true or false value, so I'm going to set it to true. So what's going to happen is script number 2 is firstly going to print out the value property of the bool value. Then after 3 seconds, script number 1 is going to change that value to true. And then what's going to happen in script 2 after that 5 seconds, it's going to print out the value again, and it should have changed. So let's have a look at what happens. Let's just clear our output and run the script again. So it prints out true, and then after 5 seconds it should have been changed by the other script, and it is still true. Oh, that's because we accidentally left it set on true. So if we were to try it again, you see it's originally false, and then it suddenly gets changed. You only just saw that there. It gets changed, and then it gets printed as true. Let me just show you again in case you're confused. So to start off with, it's false. After 3 seconds, our first script will change it to true, and then after that 5 seconds have passed, it will print out true. So what's happened is we're basically using 2 scripts here. One script is getting the value, and another script is setting the value. But you can set a value and also get a value from the same script. I was only doing this method to demonstrate that you can access a value object from any script in your game, as long as it's a server script. If a bool value was stored in, say, the starter GUI or starter pack, then it would be stored on a player's computer on the client, so you'd only be able to get them from local scripts in the starter GUI, starter pack, or in the player. But if it's in, say, server storage, server script service, or the workspace, then you could only get it from server scripts that are in server script service, server storage, or workspace. And replicated storage, that's a bit of a funny one actually. If you had a value in replicated storage, you would be able to get it, so read it from the client and also from the server, but you'd only be able to update it to change that value from the server. And that's because if the client was given permission to edit a value, then they could basically exploit the game. For example, if you had a status value in here which was updated by the server and then read to on all the clients, so all the players in the game read this bool value, say it was a string value and it stored some text to go up here in a GUI, maybe like an intermission, and then it says round starting in 3, 2, 1, blah blah blah. It would only be able to be read from on the client, but the server would be able to write to that value. Let me give you a few more examples of values. then, because we have got quite a few. Let's just type in value. We have string value here. So same thing again, it inserts itself and it just calls it value. So I'm going to change the name to string value. And because it is a string value, it can only take a string. So let's just change the name to string value. So string value.value, we couldn't set it to true. If we set it to true, if we try to set it to true, we're going to get an error. Okay, it's going to say bad argument. We can't do that because it expected a string and instead it got a bool value, a boolean. So we can give it some text. So it's a string, so it's in speech marks to say hello. Run the script. After 3 seconds, our value should update to hello. There we go. So we have just written to that value. And same thing again, we can print out the value. And you may be thinking, okay, what's the point of just printing out values? But they are really, really useful. So if I set this value to hey there, and then after 3 seconds we print out what that value is set to, it's going to print out hey there. So this is
Why am I doing this? There's a simple way I could do this. Just go down to my OBS and turning off the audio. There. Nick, you there? I'm turning off my stream thing. There's no point having it on right now. Unless you're watching it, but I doubt it. Because